Hey, everybody, and welcome to another installment. Oh, our first year's installment. Yay! New for 2021. A Paranormal Q&A with Jack Kenna and Carly Hall.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. I do want to take a moment. Well, we don't have a lot of people on yet, but I will take a moment in a little bit as soon as I see people stop popping in to say something about my birthday. Anyway, so yeah, it was my birthday this week. Oh, there's Desiree Bowman. Hello, Desiree.
Hi, Desiree.
I'm sure we got some others on. They're just not popping up on my thing here. Michelle, there's Michelle. It's Michelle Millins. So, anyways, I was just going to take a moment to say thank you to everybody out there who sent me all those wonderful birthday wishes this past Sunday, and actually even got a few more today. So I appreciate that. There's Jay Ingram, Ruth Such. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, guys.
So we'll keep saying that probably most of the show as everybody keeps popping in. So
Yep.
It's good to see everybody. And there's Barry Martz. Happy New Year, Barry. So let me see. So we started off the new year pretty good. I got noticed that I work for Department of Defense there, so I got noticed that we getting a 1% raise. President Trump, I guess before he's leaving here, is giving us a 1% raise. That's nice. That's
Nice.
pretty good. Yeah, well, considering past years we basically got nothing. So yeah, we haven't had really good a decent raise in many years. So not that I complain anyway. I get paid well. Bobby Carter, Carl Mitchell, there you are. Happy New Year, everybody who just popped in. And again, I'll say thank you to everybody who sent me all the birthday wishes this past weekend and this week. Because I got a few more today even too. So I always appreciate that. Getting up there. We won't say how old, but people can guess if they want. They'll probably guess right. So, old. Just say old, you'll be right. Yes.
We'll probably guess our age difference.
Quiet.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is
our age difference probably would be the age I would like to be right now.
The age that they would guess you to be would be the difference. That's what I'm saying.
No. So anybody wants, you can go ahead and try to guess what my age is out there. Go ahead. So what's your? I did. We're on tonight anyway. I did have to go and get a cortisone spinal injection today for my back, my lower back, which actually feels pretty good right now. I did that early this morning. Been resting up for the rest of the day, so I'm doing good there. So
that's good.
Yeah. So you had a quiet day today at work, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so exhausted. Today was like literally a quiet day, and I came home and I was like, I even had good sleep last night. Like I was up.
I know you didn't even really scream
now I'm like,
last night.
Oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't know. Emotionally exhausted, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember reading
Desiree,
anybody.
I'm just popping that up. Yes, Desiree, it's been many years. I think Obama gave us kind of a slap in the face when he gave us a 0.082 pay raise one year.
Okay.
It's not even, it wasn't actually, it was 0.008. It wasn't even 1%. It was under 1%. It's like, just don't even bother. Just keep your money. So Aaron Grove is go. See, I always mess up everybody's last name. Anyways, Aaron's here today.
That's why we love you.
Aaron's here today, and I've been watching. I do want to talk about something paranormal related. I've been watching, and you're not going to think it's paranormal related, but Carly caught the end of the series with me. I've been watching this series. That was kind of a thing on the what they call it, the Yorkshire. I think it was Yorkshire Ripper in England back in the 1970s to early 80s, 75 to 81. they're talking about this guy who was going around killing women and all that, and cops messed up. They thought he was just going after prostitutes and all that. And actually, most of the women he had killed weren't even prostitutes. But they got caught up in the whole
I didn't know
Ripper.
that. I fell asleep by that time.
Yeah, I know you did. They got caught up in this whole Ripper thing. But that wasn't the kind of interesting part. The interesting part was they finally catch the guy, right?
Okay.
And of course, he's nothing like what people expected. People always expecting this evil demon thing. Hey, it's Chris Sanders. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
Oh, and Steve Demers, he's there. Bill Freeman's here. Good to see Bill. Holly, I'm getting off track. Bob Burnell, as always, great to see you. But anyway, so they finally catch this guy, and they expected him to be some kind of monster, awful, terrible looking guy. He was like 35 years old, I think, when they caught him. He's actually a pretty good looking guy. And actually, people had given a description of some of the victims who survived, actually gave a description of him. The cops kind of fluffed it off. One of the cops even interviewed him at one point and went to his supervisor with it and said, hey, I think we might want to look at this guy more. He looks just like the guy. And his boss blew him off because they were convinced he had this certain accent. So, and they convinced he lived in this one area. And the guy's like, well, did he have this accent? He lived in this area? He goes, no, but he really looks like the guy in the description and the artist drawing. He goes, I don't want to hear this anymore. Yeah, the next guy who brings this up to me about this guy, I'm going to, fire or whatever. So it turns out was the guy.
Can you imagine?
And he had interviewed him like 3 years earlier. 3 years earlier, and more women died in the meantime, just because they were so convinced he was a certain type of guy. But the interesting thing is when they caught him and interviewed him, and they brought him to court, he said I wasn't myself, I was insane. But he did talk about when they asked him, well, when did you first decide to start killing women? He goes, oh, was it when I was a kid? And this guy is from England, right? And he was like 16 and he was helping to dig graves. And he said, I heard the gravestone, one of the gravestones calling to me, and I could hear this whispery voice, and I went over to it. And he goes, it was God telling me to kill all these women, kill these prostitutes and kill these women. So, so it was interesting. What I think really, and I've seen this before, what I think, and I'm your dad for real. I will get to your question in just a second. You go ahead and ask your question, and we will respond to it. So go ahead. It says, I'm your dad for real. I don't know who that is, but they're from Twitch. Looks like they're from Twitch. So ask your question, and I will answer it. And you can write it up while I'm finishing this. And I've heard this before where these serial killers always talk about somebody at some point or something. They heard this voice telling them to kill people. What I think it is, I think some of these guys, because they have no remorse, no nothing, I think they're actually either possessed or demonically oppressed. And that's why they're so cruel. That's why they're so, I think mental illness has to do it too. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I think that's the door to open to these other things to come in and convince them to do these horrible things that maybe normally they wouldn't have done. They may have been schizophrenic, they may have been whatever, but something else I think is influencing there. That's my own personal opinion on that. But it seems it's almost in every single serial killer case that they talk about this voice or this thing that finally came to them and told them to do these things. So it's kind of interesting. It's not every single case, but it's almost every case.
Well, it makes sense. Because they pinpoint on mental illness and they exacerbate it.
Yeah.
Make it look like mental illness.
Yep.
So that would make sense.
Yep. So I'm your dad for real. If you got your question, go ahead and ask it on here, and we will try to answer that for you.
And other people's as well.
There's Brenda Anderson, Emily Mason. And Bill says he thinks I'm right on the money. I don't know if I am or not, Bill, but it's my theory, and I'll stick to it for now. So it's just, I came up, I guess, got thinking about this when I also listened to another show, a podcast show, and Carly listened to it with me. That was,
I love it. Oh, I listened to it on the
what was the
side.
name of that one again? Where the bodies
are buried.
Where the bodies are buried. You guys, if you're really into and the guy interviews over the radio the actual serial killers, so you get to hear these guys talking and different things they talk about, what they're all, why they do the things they do. It's called Where the Bodies Are Buried, and you can find it on Spotify. It's also on iHeartRadio. It's on a whole bunch of them out there, so check that out if you want to. But that's my theory, but just based on these guys talking to themselves. And it's also, you hear this sometimes in a lot of demonic cases. People who are oppressed, they hear this voice telling them they're terrible, they're horrible, always putting them down, things like that. Now, these people often do have some type of either mental disorder or something that they're really trying to deal with. It was a really traumatic event that they've never dealt with. That's in their past, and it really affects them mentally. But this does happen to people.
It could be also familial, like handed down, because these people, if you talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, I had a normal childhood, and then the dude's like, well, did they have a normal childhood? They're like, no, their parents were serial killers. So like, they
in that one
like,
guy's case, that was the case.
Down, right. And that's sometimes is the case, sometimes it's not, sometimes it starts with them, but you have to like lose your humanity to be able to do that. And then they like literally talk about it, like what they did, as if they're telling you what they ordered for breakfast that morning. And I'm literally sitting there listening to them going, you can't feel anything off of them.
No, because they have no remorse. They don't, there's
nothing.
Right, there's no humanity within them.
And it's, I know I'm one of those weirdos that's like really weirdly like curious about serial killers, but like it's just so fascinating. I don't know what about it is so fascinating, but it's like, wow, I can't even, like, it's just so interesting.
Carly, I gotta just drop off for just a quick second, just because I gotta blow my nose, but go ahead and read if you can. I don't know if you can. I'm gonna put it up there. This is
I can read it.
I'm your dad's thing. Okay, read that and we'll address
that.
I'll be right back.
But I can read it. But
okay. Go ahead and just read it out. I'll be right back.
I used to live in the woods before moving into the city. I lived in a house which was old. The house had a creepy feeling, dark and gloomy every time. When you were alone, you felt watched and something weird to explain, almost like you felt weak. There was multiple nights where I was alone and I would hear my name like soft in my ear. Also, I had a night where I dreamed of another person's view of my going around the house and sleeping. Is that weird? Like, have you ever heard of that? So, I'm your dad for real. I'm gonna take your question piece by piece, because there is a lot going on in there that are kind of separate but also like play into each other. So let's see. Lived in a house which was old, had a very creepy feeling, dark and gloomy. When you were alone, you felt watched and something weird to explain. For that, so when you're in a very creepy feeling home, and it's like the same thing like going down into a creepy basement, you kind of has a little bit of a psychological effect where you may feel like you're being watched, and you also have to come into perspective of different like EMF around you, like internet routers, TVs, like different electronics. I'm not saying it's not paranormal, but I'm just debunking it a little bit, because there are other things that can happen, and not without going straight to, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. You also have to put into consideration like different electronics that are around you, also around the house, like telephone poles, transformers. If you're near a wind farm or anywhere near any like of the wind like things, those can also have an effect at a certain distance. If it is paranormal, then you may have some abilities that would be able to sense someone near you and is watching you, and if they're you can kind of get that vibe off if it's like kind of benign or you don't feel like you're in danger, then they're just watching over you. Or if you feel like kind of scared and nervous and like you want to run, then that may be more into the intent of the person watching you. Multiple nights where you were alone and you would hear your name soft in your ear. Again, that would also have to play into how you feel when you heard your name and towards the intent of what was trying to be communicated across to you. When you are falling asleep as well, your mind is more open and you are more able to kind of connect with the other side because your subconscious is the part of your mind that connects with those types of abilities. So when you are more in tune with your subconscious, which is in your dream state, you're more open to the other side, and that's more commonly when people will receive messages or like those soft whisperings in their ear. It's just easier. You're more open to communication.
I'll say this much on that part. When I was a kid, when I was younger, I used to, and so occasionally still I get it. I'd hear my name in being called, or in my ear or something like that, and it always sounded like my mother. A lot of times it wasn't. It was what we kind of figured out later on through a psychic friend of mine was my grandmother, my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother. All right, so, or maternal grandmother. So, I mean, could be something like that. Could be a family member. All right, I'll let you finish up the last part of that.
I had a night where I dreamed from another person's view of my going around the house and sleeping, and that so that is interesting because that sounds a bit like astral projection, where you're walking outside of your body, and you are actually like walking around your house, but you're just not in your body. You're in your spiritual body. I would have to go more into depth of like how you felt right before you fell asleep and had that dream. Like some people commonly feel like they're being hit out of their body, or they feel like they kind of like had to push out of their body a little bit, or like push against this weird force. And then when they wake back up, they feel like they fell, like you feeling of falling off the edge or falling back into your body. You feel kind of a little bit drained afterwards, like you feel like you didn't really get much sleep that night. And that is actually an interesting part, and it does, if that is the case, it does actually sound like you are sensitive yourself. So if you are sensitive, that's normal, nothing to worry about. People go through that with abilities and stuff. But if you'd like help in control, like if it's bothering you in your everyday life and you need help, like kind of it's kind of tuning it back and like figuring it out, like well, not figuring it out, but kind of like dulling the senses in a way, let us know and we'll let you know how to do that. It takes some work, but
yeah, just everything takes a little bit of work. It's not that bad though.
No.
And here's a question from Brenda Anderson. A friend of mine has a dark shadow figure that feels heavy to her. What or why does it come to her a lot? No voice to it. She is very spiritual. Well, it could be a few reasons for that. I mean, if it's a house she moved into that it just started appearing there, there could be a spirit in that home that senses that she's kind of a spiritual individual, or maybe it senses that she can sense it there. So it keeps trying to show itself to her, communicate something to her. I wouldn't be too concerned as long as it's not, negative in any way, or that she doesn't feel it's trying to harm her. I always tell people, when you see these things, how do you feel when you see it? Are you afraid? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Or do you just kind of look at it and go, "Huh, that's interesting"? And you say that she says it feels heavy, but is she afraid of it? Is she scared of it? Does she get like a feeling of anxiety from it? Because sometimes what you're feeling is not your feelings; it's the feelings of the spirit, if it is a spirit. yeah, it is very likely that because she is a very spiritual person and maybe has some abilities, that's why it's kind of shown itself to her and reaching out to her. So, but if she is having problems with it, you can just have her reach out to us and let us know, or just provide us more information, Brenda. We'll try to answer it for her. Carly, any thoughts on that one?
Well, you have to come into place, like, or come into consideration, like, where she lives, the history of the land, the history of her house, the history of her family, her workplace, also her faith as well. So you have to put a lot into consideration on why it may be coming to her. There's a lot. There is. I wish there was a straight answer, but. And again, with what you said, feeling off what the shadow figure is putting out.
Yeah. And Brenda also said, she goes, she hears her nickname being called. It sounds like her father. If your father's passed away and he used to call you that, whatever the nickname is a lot, it very well could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually those things don't really scare you. They, give you a little bit of a warm feeling. Yeah, more comforting feeling. And Nick, yes, I had a good birthday, and I'll say this once again. I want to say thank you once again to everybody who gave me all these birthday wishes over the weekend and even today. Like I said, I even received some birthday wishes today. I want to thank you all for that. But yes, I had a good birthday. Quiet. We didn't do really much, but that's okay. I'm good at my age with just hanging out. And Holly, I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
Cataldo.
Cataldo, thank you. Says she's very sensitive. She's a very sensitive individual, so that could be the answer. And Carl says he's heard his name called as well once in a while, and as well as other time I've heard the doorbell, but no one at the door. Interesting. As long as they're not bothering you, Carl, don't worry too much. I always tell people that. Brenda says regarding the other thing, it's not negative to her. She has come when it is there. Oh, okay, so it's probably not anything negative. Probably not anything she really kind of has to worry about. But if anything does happen, she has any more issues or problems, or just really wants to kind of understand it more, have her reach out to us, Brenda. That'll be fine. And my sister is talking about, it's why I sleep terribly poor. I am in the realm between sleep and wake because my mind is always traveling all over the place. Well, it's always a possibility that your body's out there somewhere. Your mind, I should say, is out there wandering the world. So it's very, you could be astral projecting. You could be astral traveling. So especially if you're like kind of seeing other places, even though you're kind of half in and half out. Bob Maloney, we see Bob Maloney here. All right, let's see what other questions we got tonight. We have some good questions tonight. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And Misty Blair says, you guys will be amazed at what I have on camera. Well, if you'd ever like to share some of your stuff, Misty, you can send us, if you got it on YouTube, things like that. We do share things with people. If you share a link to it with us, we will put it up on the show and let other people here see it, and we can discuss it. And I'm sure we'd find it very interesting. So we always do. I always find everybody's stuff they capture interesting, but we're always willing to look at it and share with people and talk about it. Oh, and Holly. Oh, yes. Holly says there's. I know who Holly. Holly's from. We met her down in Pennsylvania, Carly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they said they're passing the gentleman in the basement over this weekend, which is good because I think that particular spirit in her house kind of needs to be moved on. He's kind of causing some health issues for Holly and stuff like that.
Oh, I know Holly. Oh my gosh. Oh, hi, Holly.
Yes,
I had to look at your Facebook photo. I'm horrible with names. I'm sorry. Holly, how are you doing?
Yeah, well, that's what she's saying. They're going to be passing that spirit over. I know a little bit about Holly's case and stuff like that. I did suggest maybe in her case, it's one they should kind of try to move on because I do think it is affecting her health-wise. I don't think it's intentionally doing it. But
Yeah, well, they can still kind of like drain the energy from you in order to do what they need to do. So, and that takes a physical toll on people.
Exactly. And Misty says, she goes, I have a ton and need help. Well, Misty, if you are you you saying you're having a haunting? If you are having a haunting and you do need help with it, if we work within your area, we will be glad to help. But we do have a form that we require people to fill out. It's the only thing we ever ask of people is a form. Send us and fill it out, and we will try to help you if we can. If we don't work in your area, depending on what state and stuff you're in, then we will try to help you find somebody who can help you. So that's how we kind of work, because we can't travel everywhere, right? Keep our space limited. So let us know, Misty. You can reach out to me separately here on Facebook and ask, private message me, and I will send you the form that we require. Or we can just talk about it, see where you live. If you're not up near us in New York or Massachusetts area, stuff, even as far as Pennsylvania, then we can point you to somebody else who can assist you. Oh, Emily's just talking to. Oh, Carly. Oh, she's talking to you. Okay, I thought it was Carl. So you said Carl for a second.
I'm Carl.
Some believe it is a sensitive ability to astral project. Some think it is a learned experience, and some do not believe it is even possible. What do you guys think, and have you experienced it personally? I don't think I've personally experienced it, Emily. I mean, I've had kind of weird things happen. I'm on the cusp on astral projecting. I don't discount it. I'm not sure I totally believe it, but I don't discount anything because I have found pretty much anything is possible. Carly, your thoughts on it?
Oh,
I don't
gosh.
disbelieve people who say it's happened to them, especially when they describe it in such detail.
Well, you remember when I described your house in detail, right?
Yes, that was kind of interesting. Yes, she did give a very descriptive. Yeah. Well, that was in a dream, though. I don't know if that was astral.
Yeah, that's astral projecting in a dream.
Yes. Well, I died in that dream, as usual.
Well, yeah. See, I wonder if that was a message though in the astral projection, because sometimes that will happen. What I was taught when I was growing up was that astral projection is both a learned ability and something that you are. I need that up. Hang on, it's like what the way she worded it. Some believe it's a sensitive. So it is a sensitive ability, and it goes back into my analogy of short distance and long distance running. Some people are born better at long distance running than short distance running, and vice versa. The same thing goes with psychic abilities and the level that you are capable of in the beginning, like your starter level. Some people are more sensitive than others to begin with, and therefore they will just start astral projecting because they have no control. And they will not, at nighttime, maybe their energy is so sporadic and so strong that they'll just be able to travel outside of their body without realizing that they're doing it. And some people do have to learn how to do it. For me, I honestly don't think it was me that was doing it, but I was astral projecting to different places because I think those things were making me, if that makes sense. I don't know. So I don't even know if that's actually another question I should have asked James when he was last on, like, can they kick you out of your body at night in a sense? But anyway, it is a sensitive ability, and it is also a learned experience. You do have to learn to control it, and some people have to learn how to do it. So it really depends on your level of your psychic muscle. I've actually experienced it personally. The way that I determine between an astral dream versus a real dream is which took actually a lot of time to practice this. I used to wear a string on my finger, and I would look at it on a consistent basis. And if I was not wearing the string, then I knew that I was dreaming, and therefore I'd be able to determine whether or not it was an astral projection or a dream, because I could, be more self-aware of what was going on around me.
Right.
In a normal dream, I would be shooting all over the place. Images would change, settings would change in a blur, and things would just be more sporadic and random. And if I was in an astral projection, I literally, if I was in this room, I could walk from one end to the other with no interruptions, and it was like I was actually here. I would see people that I haven't in a long time who have passed, who'd want to talk as well. It'd be like being in this room, but also with all those spirits around as if they were like actually there. So kind of on that spiritual realm, on past the veil of this, but still in here. It's I don't know if that makes sense, but it is it takes some time, I think, to determine. Some people only know that they astral project when they wake up because they're like, oh, that felt really real. But it takes time to like figure out sometimes for people who are new to, if you are astral projecting within your dream, which is cool. It is cool when you get to.
It's pretty cool.
Drains the heck out of you though.
That goes without saying.
I remember waking up and going like, I feel like I haven't slept in a week, and I was exhausted when I first started. No.
Yeah. Debbie Smith says, can you hear it when paranormal opens a new opening in your home as a loud boom? What she's talking about is a portal. Sometimes it can sound like a loud boom. Sometimes it can sound like plates breaking, like glass breaking. Sometimes it can sound like pans, like somebody dropped a ton of pans on the floor. It's really usually is fairly loud noise. Sometimes it's accompanied by a flash of light. Sometimes it's just a flash of light with no sound. So it's a possibility. But it is like a loud boom. I would say also, check out where your neighborhood is or what's under the ground there. Some towns, some cities, things like that have underground like tunnels and stuff that have gas in them, and those gases can explode every once in a while, and like methane gases, things like that. They can just go off, explode, and it'll sound like that, and it can be within your whole neighborhood. So check on that first. Always try to figure out a more normal reason for it before you jump to the paranormal. But yes, paranormal portals opening can sometimes sound like loud booms or glass breaking or very loud noises. Yes, that is a possibility. Debbie. Nick asks if we're, of course we're very familiar with the Insidious movies. That team reminds me of mine once in a while. Me being the big dopey guy usually.
I love those movies with the ghost hunting team, how they were like super
but he's
corny with it.
Kind of focused on astral projecting, I guess. Yeah.
Which I think was really cool because like you could see it on like a movie side. I mean, it's not exactly like always that dark, but it is very interesting because I don't know. We had an interesting experience with those movies though, because I remember we were on a trip. We were coming back from
All right.
in the hotel in New Jersey, and I literally like we had to stay the night because your car couldn't breathe because it was so packed up with snow.
Yeah, it was a terrible snowstorm back last year. It was early. It was 2019 or 2018. I forget even now.
Yeah, and I sat up like while we were watching TV, or we were falling asleep, and I sat up and I literally drew out something that I had seen that was shown in this quick flash. And then later on, I think it was like a couple months or maybe a month down the road when we were watching the movies, I was like, oh my God, that's what I saw was the hand coming around the door. And it was from that movie. And I described it perfectly. And I'd never seen the movies before. So that was really cool.
Exactly.
I mean,
Our
it was
friend
like
Candace is too. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. It turned out to be that. That's
I
like
was
a
like,
premonition.
aliens?
Yeah, it was kind of like a
I was like,
premonition of what you were going to see.
I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, it was like an alien hand?
Because you
Like,
hadn't
am I
seen the
having visions of aliens now?
movie.
Like, what? Am I going to be abducted? Like, what?
Maybe, you never know.
Oh, no thanks.
And Bob asked, do we think the government spies doing astral travel? Well, it's a fact they did mess with that. They did try to do that back in the I think it was back in the 80s, 70s and 80s. They they tried doing that. I think they probably still do to some extent. They try to have people like look into different locations and stuff like that remotely. They called it remote viewing, and they did have a project on remote viewing. They did do that. I don't know if it was really so much astral projecting. Maybe it was, but they called it remote viewing. But yeah, I think they probably still tried to do a little bit of that today, since they did have some success with it. So yeah, I'm sure they did.
Kind of a weird topic, but during the Holocaust, didn't they, like, with the people that they captured, didn't they do experiments on psychic abilities and like twins and stuff? I remember something was mentioned from it where they did.
I don't remember.
Like,
They did so many different crazy things. It was weird. But yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I don't remember that specifically. But I remember in the 70s, 80s, they were doing our government was doing remote viewing projects.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. The Nazis did a lot of stuff, so God only knows. I don't think anybody on the other side, on the U.S. or Allied side, was doing any of that. Maybe they were. They just didn't talk about it. And Candace, our friend Candace, is here. How you doing, Candace, out there? Candace found out something. She might be on a show pretty soon.
Oh, that's cool.
Same one you've been contacted about.
Yep.
So our two friends, Candace and Carly, might actually. We'll see what happens, but it looks like they might be on a show. I can't say which one. Can't say anything else more than that. But if it happens, it's going to be happening, I think, sooner rather than later. So we'll see. We shall see. And Debbie says, my house shook. It felt a large boom out in the country. I would say that's maybe not paranormal. It could be an underground explosion.
Could be.
I actually do think that's what it could be. So it may not be paranormal related, but it because what you just said sounds like it's something underground.
Especially if you have like natural gas deposits underneath.
Oh, Bill reminded me to go back to the Philadelphia experiments. Yes, that was a whole other thing too, right? Philadelphia experiment. Yeah.
I don't know what the Philadelphia experiment was.
They were trying to make it was supposedly a whole ship disappeared. They were trying to do stealth stuff, and the ship never came back.
Oh.
Or supposedly came back, and there was some really bad stuff that happened. I don't remember the whole story, but I know there was something paranormal that occurred supposedly during it. It's still actually, I think it's still sealed to this day. I don't think you can get the records on what actually happened. All they do know is that they were trying to create a way to make ships invisible to radar. And I guess they actually made the ship invisible. Period. Disappeared. Something weird happened. It's a story. I mean, it's a story, but it's supposed to be a true story.
Interesting.
But there was something that happened there. Yeah, yeah. Bill might have more details. I may even be totally correct about what I just said. Bill might have more detail on that. If you do, Bill, share it. We always love people share.
Time travel. That's what he just said.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they think it was that. It could have been that. There's a theory that it was that. There's a theory that they went into another dimension. Not so much time travel, but they crossed a barrier, a dimensional barrier. And there's all kinds of weird theories, but the records are sealed on that experiment. So
it's interesting. Well, they did too good of a job, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, here's what Nick says. He's talking about back to the movies. As you must have been in the further, as they called it in the movie.
Mhm.
We were in the further. Maybe that's where the Philadelphia. Maybe that's where the ship went in the further. Yeah, they don't know if it was time travel or what. No, nobody really knows for sure. It's very interesting. You should look it up. It's kind of an interesting. They made a movie based on it,
Oh, I'd
which
like
is
to see
kind of
that.
hokey, but I don't know. I didn't care for the movie that much.
Okay, never mind then. When you say
And
a movie's hokey, eh.
yeah. It was back in its day, and it might be now. And Holly says she does a lot of remote viewing. So, well, we have a friend of ours who does a lot of remote cleansings. It's kind of like, well, it's remote viewing. She goes into people's homes to cleanse them or find out what's going on, what spirits are bothering people, things like that. So she's very good at it too. And that's Michelle Durocher.
Yes. She's awesome. Man, you can feel it when she pops in though, man. I don't know if she's watching right now, but she did that for me one time when you were away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just noises in my apartment, like getting used to the new noises, but I wasn't sure if someone actually like broke in downstairs. But I remember you were like, yeah, no, she'll pop in and take a look and see what was going on. I also got scratched the day before. But so I'm literally in the living room, right? And this is when I had my little sugar glider. Right. And she's chilling in my bathrobe pocket, and I'm feeding her yogurt. I remember telling you this. And all of a sudden, you just, like, felt her. She's, like, you didn't even have to tell me that she was doing it. Like, I was just like, hi, okay, good. And my sugar glider, legit, I was like, ah! And, like, went back into my pocket. Like, she actually could, like, feel Michelle. And I was like, oh.
Okay. Well, it's possible.
It was interesting. So, she, like, I oh my gosh.
Maybe could have even seen Michelle there. Never know.
Probably. But I love, having client cases where she pops in, because literally when she pops in, she is like means business, man. Like you don't want to mess with her when she's there. She's like, I'm here to help, and it's gonna happen. Whether they like it or not, this is gonna get solved. So she's awesome. I love her.
I was bringing this up again because Michelle or Debbie said a couple other things. I still think it's possible it was an underground explosion of some kind. Just based on what you're saying, the house felt like it was hit by a car. Hey, could it have been a portal? Yeah, it could have been. Portals usually don't create that kind of activity. You don't usually shake your whole house, though.
No, it's more of sound and light.
Noise.
It's not like
you don't really. You don't really feel a physical whole shake. That sounds like something else.
Or it could be like a small earthquake.
Yeah, it can be. We have them all the time in all different places. A lot of people don't realize some of the areas they're in.
Shift. Yeah.
There's plates all over the country. So if those plates just shift, a lot of people don't know, but Massachusetts has a lot of them. Most of them you don't feel, but every so often you will feel that, and it'll feel something like that. So it could have been more of a seismic event. Yep. But with the loud bang, usually you don't get the bang with a seismic event, but you could.
Could be a gas rocket.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is more of some kind of underground explosion. But it's something you can look into, Deb. I mean, check with who you can check with to find out if something more natural. The USGS, United States Geological Survey Department. You look up USGS online. And they actually have phone numbers you can call for your area and stuff like that to find out a certain place, certain time, did something happen, or is this area prone to certain things? That's what we do when we're researching things, and people come to us with stuff like this. We'll do a little research and try to find out. And Sir Alexia had a question. I have a question. How is it basements and attics are more affiliated closely with hauntings? Because it's the creepy attic or the creepy basement. It's a whole Hollywood thing, so people just associate it that way. In a case of real hauntings, usually it goes on within the entire house. I mean, there might be one or two locations that are more, hot, we call them hot spots and others, but it's not always the attic or the basement. A lot of people associate it with like the basement a lot. And there's can be other reasons for that, which are more electrical, because most of your wiring is in your basement. And that can give off a lot of electromagnetic frequency. So, which is, it can mess with your head and make it feel like somebody's watching you or like somebody's there. Sometimes it does attract a spirit where there's more high energy. Spirit will hang around that in order to feed off that energy. So, but I mean, most of it's attics, basements, because they're creepy and it's a kind of a Hollywood thing. So people just associate it that way. I think it's more a psychological thing than actual truth. I've been in a lot of attics that aren't haunted, but in a lot of basements that aren't haunted either. So just all depends. I see. Barry. Barry's talking about it. Some of my mom passed away yesterday. Oh, Barry, I did not hear that. Okay.
Sorry about that, Barry.
Very, very sorry about that. We'll say some prayers for you and your family and your mom tonight. Days before her passing, she would have occasional, agitated fits with screaming. Myself and the rest of the family were able to visit her last Thursday. She was incoherent. While sitting with her, I saw a quick glimpse of a shadow through my face shield. Okay. That moved to left and right on the wall behind her. I think this might be Death Angel, or it could be Father being disguised. Well, it's a lot of times what I think is happening is, your family members are usually around you, especially in difficult cases, like when you've got that going on, and the people are in pain or they really don't know what's going on around them. The family is there to kind of help them pass on, kind of get them ready. Sometimes it could be the like we call him the angel of death, but he's actually an archangel. So he's there to help the people move on. It's not a bad thing, really.
Which I feel bad because Hollywood gave him like such a bad rap.
Yeah,
something to be scared of. And it's he's trying to help you. I mean, death is scary. I won't lie, death can be scary. But it's better to have somebody to help you prepare you for the other side than just be left alone and been like, okay, kind of someone to guide you on the other side.
Absolutely.
But, yeah,
but they're there for a reason. So that could be what you saw, or potentially a family member. I can't tell you for sure, but I do think it was probably somebody there waiting to help her move on. Excuse me.
I think with different stories that we've heard of, like, people in situations where there's quite a lot of death, is they each have their own designated type of death, like angel or entity there that like helps, but they all like look differently, and it seems like they're all different at different locations, which I think is interesting. Like I remember one was talking about the wolf figure. I think oh gosh, over at the Haldeman, someone was mentioning they saw a wolf figure going from room to room, and they knew that one of the residents had passed because they saw it, and it was like, we're like, yeah, that's probably the designated like angel there or entity to help guide them across to the other side. And so it's interesting, everybody's different perspectives of what they see, and something to look into, I guess.
Yep. Bobby Carter says, do you believe that a person's spirit can come back to their home even though they're still alive, dying in the hospital? My mom heard and seen my grandpa. Yes, actually, I know I do, because at the point where they're kind of in the process of passing on, I think they go to visit certain people. Either just before death or almost immediately after. But usually it's happened a lot with people before the person has died. Like they'll go to see a person and they'll appear to them. Sometimes they'll say something, sometimes they say nothing. They just are there. And it's kind of their way of saying goodbye and that they're moving on. And then all of a sudden somebody gets a call, or that person will get a call that the individual passed. So
Or
yes,
to
I
prepare you.
do think that's possible, Bobby. Hmm?
Mhm. Or to prepare you.
Or to prepare you, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Nick had, I think, a question.
Oh, he was talking about my thing with
Oh,
the twins,
he's
with the
talking about
Nazis.
earthquakes too. Most of the 10th earthquakes hit Northwest. 1886, Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I do also know you can, prior to an earthquake, there's what they call earthquake lights. I actually captured them during an investigation one time. I should
Those
show
were
this.
cool.
Yeah, I should show it to you guys out here. I don't know where the file is exactly right at the moment, but I will maybe show that to you next week. But yeah, we actually caught these lights that appeared just before an earthquake, and that was actually at a haunted location or a client case we were doing in Massachusetts. So,
Mhm.
um, maybe if you saw lights before, there's something else because I know somebody else mentioned, Bob Burnell mentioned something about he's heard the flying power balls that float around. I'm not sure what those are. Start with a bang or a boom. I'm not sure what the flying power balls are. That sounds more like UFO related. That could be. But he did send a link to it. Bob did post a link to it. So if somebody wants to check out that link about that, you can. And that's good that you guys share all this information with each other too. It's helpful. But I always look for me personally. I always try to look for, based on what somebody's telling me, I'll try to look for a more natural explanation before I'll jump to it just being something paranormal.
Yeah.
Especially something like that, because you just don't know. I'm not going to jump and say it's paranormal right away. There could be other causes for it, and I'd like to see what else it could potentially relate to before just jumping to the conclusion that the loud boom that shook the house is a portal opening. Because, I wasn't there. I don't know, but I do know there's other things that can cause that. So
He
worth
says
looking
the,
into.
he says the link is to a shadow person.
Oh, okay. I thought the link was to what he had mentioned up earlier. He says caught a shadow person. And right after that link, he says caught a shadow person last Friday night at the Conjuring House. Oh, very cool. Yeah, we
Interesting.
still got to get down there one of these days too.
Yeah,
Well,
they
that
were
is
talking
one of the
about
things
it.
they say they see down there is a shadow
Yeah.
figure. So you may have caught the shadow figure that everybody sees there, which is pretty cool.
Carl Johnson is a really good person to talk about the Conjuring House because he has some really cool stories about what he's experienced there and his opinions on
Well,
the
he was.
house.
They were the feminist brother of first investigators there.
Yep.
Yeah, they were actually the first people to get called in. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if we got any questions. People sharing some things. Just throw that up there.
Mm.
Yes, it happens. It does happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick says he'd love to see the earthquake lights. I will find those, guys. Remind me of it. I will find those and I will post them up.
They're very pretty, which is like
I've shown it.
when I saw the video, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
Yeah, I've shown it at some of my lectures. I think I showed it even during my course I was given. I'll just put this up from Barry. Some of those episodes from Haunted Hospitals that I watched previously. Those dark type angels. Yeah. Well, yeah, one of them, Haunted Hospitals, one of those stories was uh, my my ex-wife that, future ex-wife, who reported her story of seeing the angel of death when her aunt was passing away. So that's probably the one you're thinking about on there, which was true. I mean, that did happen. I know that for a fact. So that did happen to her. So, but yes, I do believe, yes, it's possible it's angel of death or it's a family member that's coming to help them pass. And that's pretty much correct, Nick. Yes, it's when the rocks actually, yes, they're squeezing, they're rubbing against each other. It's that release of energy. And they've actually been captured in California by scientists out there. That's where they're actually, it's a real thing. Earthquake
They
lights.
have a lot of earthquakes, yeah.
Yeah, it's a legitimate thing. They've been captured on actually video by scientists and stuff. So that's an actual real thing. That's why I was surprised when we saw them, when we captured them. And then we had an earthquake. You know, a very small one, granted, but but it was still, the whole house shook,
And that actually, the whole neighborhood shook.
Well, yeah, every kind of you could hear people outside talking about it while we were investigating. And PJ says he had an angel experience when his mom was dying. Angel was at a window 6 floors up. This was after I called on 4 archangels. Well, yeah, it's. I mean, this stuff does happen. I mean, it's real. I mean, I've seen enough out there to know that angels exist, demons exist, and there's a lot of other things in between that exist that we just, that's why we have this show. That's why we talk about this stuff. The paranormal is real. It's out there. You've just got to disseminate when certain things are paranormal, when certain things aren't. Some things you have to figure out, Some things are just personal experiences. Some things you can capture on audio, video, and share with other people. That doesn't mean they're going to believe you, but I don't try to convince anybody either. I just share what I know. Okay, and Bob says, yes, I did share the lights with the class. Oh, okay. So that's good. I did. Very good. I'm going to see if I can find those quick, Carly, and see what else is going on. Go through the rest of the stuff. See who's talking out there. I'm going to try to see if I can find them real quick.
Bobby Carter said, when my grandma died, my mom said that the whole room lit up when she passed. That's very interesting. It's very, and I always found that when you witness a death, it's very, obviously, but it's very powerful. And I bet that, I assume that was very comforting, was to have a very bright light in the room. I'm sure that was whoever came to take her to the other side and be there for her and help her with the transition. Could have been a portal, actually, if the whole room lit up.
Yeah, that actually could have been. That actually could have been, yeah, because usually you get that bright light.
Yeah, and it's just a flash. Nick Mulai says, I know the earthquake lights were also seen during the New Madrid earthquake over 200 years ago in 1811 and 1812. Of course, back then, no one knew what those lights were back then, as the earthquakes caused a lot of unusual phenomena. One of the biggest events that it's responsible for was that it was the earthquake event that caused the Mississippi River to run backwards. I didn't know that happened.
Not either.
That's interesting. It's crazy to know how much of an effect the deep tectonic plates that are super beneath us, way down there, have an effect on our daily life. I mean, obviously it does, but you don't really think about it. And it's if you look at our mountains, that's what formed them, was two tectonic plates
Yep, that's absolutely right.
And it's dang. Whoa. It's unbelievable and kind of terrifying at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes tens of thousands of years for it to happen, though. At the same time, didn't
All right, but it happened.
It did happen, yeah. Well, that's the power of the earth, and water is extremely powerful too. Ice, all those things, carve out mountains, valleys. I mean, Colorado River, the whole was carved out by a river. The whole there. My mind just went blank. Somebody else is going to tell me what it was because I'm looking for something. That's why I can't think and look for something at the same time.
Sorry. I was reading a comment, so I wasn't really. I probably would have been able to finish that. I'm sorry.
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, yep.
Carved out by a river. So.
A lot of the lakes are also glacial water too. In near us, right?
Not so much near us. No, I mean some of them in the Adirondack Mountains, yes. Not all
Because I
though.
know I've been to a couple, and they're really pretty.
Hmm.
But
Up in Colorado and stuff, yeah.
yeah.
Rocky Mountains. Oh, I just can't seem to find this, so I'll have to find it another time there, friends. I was just trying. I was trying to find it, but I can't seem to find what I'm looking for. It's buried somewhere. I'll dig it up sometime. Don't worry. Anyways, back to everybody here. PJ says you saw an angel after you cleared a haunted house. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It was something you called on, I assume, to me to help you clear the house. You looked like stone, which was amazing. So it touched the ceiling. Well, no, if you called on something to help you clear the house, that could very well be
Hmm.
what came. And Barry says we believe we have a fault zone here, and yes, you do. Actually, I actually you know that because I had to look it up for something going on out that way one time. But yes, there is fault zones throughout the entire New York state. Believe it or not, they're not major fault lines, but they are faults.
Well, we are on a huge the part of the U.S. which has a lot of slate as well. That's why they like to do a lot of natural gas, like fracking around here with all the farms and stuff, because we're on the slate and that holds the natural gas.
And Bob is right. Maine has many glacial lakes.
Ooh,
New
I
York
love
City
glacial lakes.
quite a few.
None are as pretty as Alaska, though. I will tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, Alaska.
I got to go to Alaska, and that place is oh, literally the what was the song for the oh gosh, with our not our national anthem, but for our country, waves of grain, and then there was something else that was something blue, and it was about the Alaskan wildflowers, and that was legitimate. That is depicted exactly I have to look back at it, but it's amazing.
I see. Yes, I know what you're talking about there. And PJ says, "I thought that the Nephilim are said to be an angel human mix." That's correct. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe more part fallen angel. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't exactly fallen angels at the time. They were angels at the time. Um, that's
Purple
why
Mountain
they came fallen.
Majesty.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Nephilim they were created in order to pollute the bloodline before Jesus was born.
correct.
That's why Mary was a virgin.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's true.
She was non-polluted.
She's also in the ancestral line of King David.
Mm-hmm. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Okay, Holly. Yeah, send that over to us. We'll take a look at it.
Oh
Well,
wow, that's really interesting.
sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes people want to take photos of different things. Just it's important to them. They feel it's important to them. Says her silly sister taking pictures, taking photos, but if she hadn't been taking it, you wouldn't have captured that, right? So there's a reason why people sometimes are compelled to do certain things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Art's our time.
Is it really? Oh wow.
Yes. Hard to believe. Oh, we getting through a lot tonight. I will try to find that video for you people. I'll take a look shortly after this, and then I'll post it up here to the thing after. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a good one. Oh, we have a very special guest next week, correct, Carly?
Yes, we do.
Special guest.
Next week we are going to have the one and only Rick McCullum on.
Rick McCullum, my buddy Rick McCullum. Most of you probably know who Rick is, but he was a stuntman out in Hollywood, and he's also the founder of Hollywood. What do they call
Ghost
it?
Hunters.
Yeah, it was Hollywood Ghost Hunters. I thought it was.
I have the shirt. Yeah,
Oh yes, true. Yeah, that's right. I
Hollywood
do.
Ghost Hunters. That's what it says on the shirt.
Yes, yeah. And so he's the founder of that team, and some very cool people on that team. But he's going to talk about all that next week, and his new book that he has out, which I hope you all get a copy of. It's a great book. Even included me in it.
I can pull that up.
I haven't read the book yet, but I actually got to review the book, so I kind of read it that way. So
That's true.
Yes, I didn't get to read the whole thing yet, but I have reviewed some. So, but if you're looking for any of my books, you can find them all on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Just put in my name, Jack Kenna, and you will find everything there. We want to thank everybody again for stopping in tonight, talking with us, hanging out with us, sharing your ideas, thoughts, and all good things. And thank you all again for all the great birthday wishes. I appreciate that. And Happy New Year again to everybody. So we'll see you all next Tuesday. Don't miss it. We'll have our special guest, Rick McCullum, on. You guys are going to love it if you don't already know who he is.
Oh, he's awesome.
He is. Good night, everybody.
Good night.